Good evening. It's Tuesday, the something of something. How we doing, bath time?
Yeah, good, thank you. Some weird news, but I'm all right. How are you?
I'm good. Yeah, I'm with you on the weird news. It sunk in as soon as I heard it, but it was weird. Look, we'll get on to that. Everybody knows what we're going to be talking about. Yama, how you doing, man?
Yeah, man, good, thank you. I just realised today this Club World Championship is for 4 weeks. Wow.
Is it?
Did you
So
know
what happens to them? So what happens to them at the start of the season? Anyway, I don't care. We're not in it. I'm not bothered. I hope they come.
I know, but don't you think it's a bit taxing? I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah, they're taking the piss.
Few days tournament. They usually do it on a Wednesday, finish by Sunday. But
it's like the tournoi, Yabba. You remember that?
Yeah, I do. Yeah,
like it's both a test run for the World Cup, and it is basically what they've tried to do is they've tried to make the World Cup for like club teams.
Is it every 4 years? It is every 4 years, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So on an odd year, like not an even year, like
before a World Cup. Yeah.
World Cup. Yeah. But I don't think if I was a club manager, I wouldn't be too happy about it. After a long season, you want to have a 2-week break and relax, and then get back into pre-season.
Money.
Yeah, but it's just ridiculous. And then you're seeing the international. What's happened to international football? I've seen England team got together. They're in Spain for Andorra game. I mean, who wants to play Andorra? And then I've seen France team. I think they're playing Portugal. They've got together, and some of the France team have just been playing in the Champions League final. Do they get a break? You need to build, like I say, with athletics, you build up for peak performance at the right time. That's what athletes do. So this part of the season, they won't be in best form. They peak at the right time. And the same applies for footballers in a way. You sort of want to get peaked in good condition for the start of the season, and you'll be fit enough to then go on and continue throughout the season. But it's really...
What about me, Yabba? Huh? What about us? Maybe I'm different to the viewers and stuff. I like my summers off from football. Football's got a complete chokehold on my life, and it kind of releases for 2 months in the summer where I can live like a normal person. And I really enjoy it when there's no football on, there's no stress from Manchester United and so on. And if we were in the Club World Cup, we'd be getting up at whatever time to watch matches and things, and it's really important because if you win it, it's 150 million minimum. Yeah, and so Chelsea, let's say it's 100 million minimum for the Champions League and 100 minimum for that. Chelsea are 200 million ahead of us in income generated for next season already. We tried to make the Super League with the Glazers and with Woodward and stuff, and now there is Super League, basically the Champions League and the World Club Cup, and we're not in it. And it's really costing us.
How do you qualify for this competition if Chelsea are in it? How do you qualify?
They won the Champions League, didn't they, a couple of years ago?
Yeah.
Who were the last 2 English teams who've won the Champions League?
Oh, so from the Chelsea and Man City?
Man City.
Yeah, and who were in the cup? Who were in it?
So is that how it goes? So between now and the next 4 years, whoever wins the Champions League will qualify for that next one. Is that?
Yeah, I think it's probably the best performance in the Champions League. But I don't know why Barcelona aren't there and so on. But it's got to be to do with European competition and stuff. But what we really know is that they're trying to put glamour teams in.
Yeah, because El Hali are there. Inter Miami are going to be there as well, Inter Miami one shit.
No, they got Messi in it. So hello.
Yeah, but I mean, the only interest I've got in it is seeing how the best of Saudi teams, of the best of Eastern Europe.
You're gonna watch it? Are you gonna watch it?
If it's on and I'm around, I'll watch it. But I'm not gonna be.
I ain't watching it. I know.
I think I will.
I want to see how Inter Miami fare against the top European team.
They're gonna get battered.
Well, we don't know. You could be surprised. By a few things. Any African teams in it?
I don't think so. There's Australian teams because City.
They're gonna get licked.
Yeah, Auckland. My ex-chairman is on the staff of Auckland FC, so he's been posting these pictures of the boys going out there and doing their thing. New Zealand.
I've got a
Wow.
funny story about this.
Say again. Go on.
I've got a funny story. It's not a funny story, but when I went to play in New Zealand, this is like 22, 23 years ago. So we were playing in the top league in New Zealand, and it wasn't a good level at all, in my opinion. And so I got to know a lot of the Kiwi players. And there's a guy called Chad Coombs, and he came over here for trials at amateur football, like Hendon and Yedin and all these kind of things. And wasn't really, getting into top clubs. But he's a really good player. I thought he was a good player. But then I'm watching the Club World Championship, and this is a few years later, and he's playing. He scored a brilliant goal as well for the Kiwi side. And he's running, scoring. I thought, oh my God, go on, Chad, I'm really happy for you. But coming to England, this is someone who plays for the national side. When he came to England, it was like going for a trial at, I don't know, what we call non-league sides, semi-pro sides, and not getting the opportunity to stay. He wanted to play out here, but he's a good player. But then I see him playing for his national country against Brazil with Ronaldo and Ronaldinho. It's like, wow. Do you see what I'm saying?
Who does he play for?
This is years. He was playing for what is Auckland. I think it was Auckland. The league changed. I think he was playing for Auckland.
Presumably New Zealand national team.
It was, New Zealand national team. But he was playing for one of the top clubs out there at the time as well. But you see what I mean? It just shows you, Mr. B, if you were born in, say, the Bahamas or Jamaica, or if Bath Time was born in Chile. By the way, Bath Time, I need to send you a funny video of amateur game in Chile where this guy.
No.
It's reckless. This guy did a running challenge, 2-footed. Came through it, it starts a big brawl. People are fighting and snorting and doing whatever. It's just nuts. I was thinking that I've got to show Bartha this video.
Yes, please.
Hold on, sorry, I am titanium. Sorry, I've been going through it. What are you talking about? It will be bigger than the FIFA World Cup in future, in his opinion. No chance. No chance.
Don't you think they're trying to push it that way, though, Mr. B?
They are trying to push it that way.
Of course they are, but Infantino wants his piece of the pie, innit? No, I don't think it ever becomes bigger than the World Cup. No,
I'll give you an argument why it could be. Number one is players are paid by their clubs, so that the clubs will they will prioritise their players for the Club World Cup over international football. The money will be absolutely huge.
Yeah, but do they have? You see, England are.
Do you support England?
No, I don't give a toss about England. To be fair,
do you support Manchester United?
All right, Bath Time. All right.
How are you making the argument that a World Cup for clubs?
You know what? We're not in it.
Yeah. And that's the best thing, because people who I don't know, Peterborough United fans or something like that, they're the guys that go and sort of see England and that go out and travel and watch England and stuff. Like the Premier League's always kind of had a confused relationship with the England national team, in my opinion. I just don't think that you'll ever get scenes from the FIFA World Cup that you would for, say, Euro 96 or like England 66 or something like that. I still think the national identity is too strong for it to get bigger. But I can understand why someone would make that argument.
Coming in, Yabba. I'm waiting now.
It'd be interesting. It's funny how football's going. The only thing I would say is a detriment to footballers. Will we see more injuries when there's no rest? I've heard top people like Wenger talk about this and say, no, players need to be rested. We already complain about English season where we're playing over the winter break, over Christmas and New Year, and then we kind of fatigue, and that's why we don't probably do well in the latter end of European competitions. Us, for example, against Spurs, we were poor. But do you see what I'm saying? There's always been complaints about burning people out, burning players out, fatigue, and that kind of thing. But football's a small career. If you're going to get paid enough to do it, footballers won't really care, I don't think. I think they're really fit all year round, but they're just traditionally the main thing for footballers are you play, you have a 2-3 week break, which is entitled to switch off and then get back into pre-season and prepare 2 months or so from July, so late June, July, and into August to start the new season. And if you're not able to do that,
what's going to happen, Yabba?
Commitments elsewhere, you're going to have problems.
I think that the logical extension of what you're saying is that clubs are going to need bigger squads. So you're going to see more accumulate. You're going to see more of the top talent going to the top clubs, making it kind of an unfair playing, like what's it called, a playing field or whatever, a level playing field. But on the plus side, because of like registration rules, you might get younger players you might get more chances for younger players at top clubs, but that is going to make it even more competitive and cutthroat for, you know, anyone who's 12 years old upwards and so on. I see only negative parts to increasing the football calendar. You're putting too much pressure on players. It's going to ruin like the youth development. And the other thing is that, like, am I right in thinking that like football is by far the longest sport? Like basketball and American football, they only run like 6 months, don't they? If that. And football run, they're trying to make football run all year round, and that's too much.
Formula One is something that lasts. I think they said the other 9 months of this year, almost. So it starts in February, late February, March, maybe, and then it ends in December. So that's quite taxing. But yeah, football is a long season, isn't it? Like you're saying, it is a long season, and it's getting even longer based on what we're seeing here. So I don't know how you guys feel in the comments about this thing. Do you really care, or are you happy to have watch more football? But I'm a traditionalist. I like summer break, like Bath was saying. I like World Cups every 4 years. Prepare for that. And the Nations League and all these other competitions, they're dashing in there as well. It's just that there's money in football, so they're just trying to create as much football as possible. And the TV guys don't care because they're making money from it too. So it's gonna fall off a cliff at some point with too much money.
Yeah, and also we have to pay for it. It's like at the end of the day, it's FIFA's like hand in your pocket. No one else is going to pay. Like the consumer is going to pay for it.
Okay.
I have no interest. I'm going to be honest. I'm glad. I'm going to be glad. I'm glad for the break. I'm glad. I was pissed off that we had 2 extra games that showed out just how shit we were. I want them to all bugger off, disappear for 3 weeks, don't hear nothing from them, and then come back and then have all the training videos out. I don't want no Rashford type videos. I don't want nobody posting nothing about being at a party, flying to space, or doing it. Just silent. Just go media silent. I'm not interested in hearing nothing. That's what I want. So, you know, we've been pulled into the transfer window. I said the thing that I said that we wouldn't be doing, but one big surprise, obviously, we've been talking, and me and Bath Time had already meticulously spent all the Bruno money. So to hear that he was staying this morning, I'm not sure who was more disappointed, me or Bath Time. Maybe not because the player he is, just, you know, I had already spent half of that, well, 3/4 of that money. So look, Bruno's staying. His statement was
lovely.
Manchester United didn't want to sell me. They don't need the money. If I'd wanted to leave, they would have made it happen. I want to compete for major titles and remain at the highest level. Is there anything I think he's probably saying that if a European team comes in for him, he'll go. Obviously, they're not going to be offering 100 million. That's just my take on it. I think he has had enough at the club. The fact that he thought about it. Obviously, I feel that it's his wife who's put these foot down and said she ain't moving to Bahrain or Saudi. Thoughts, guys? Am I wrong?
Okay, so I agree with you, Mr. B. Like reading between the lines, he's saying, I want to compete for major titles and remain at the highest level. Doesn't mention Manchester United Football Club. So is the saga actually over? Or does this mean that he's so peed off that we're not in Europe, or, you know, he's on tour now with all his Portuguese teammates. He's with Vitinho and John Neves, and they're talking about, you know, still buzzing about their performances this year. And then how's your season been, Bruno? You know, and he'd be like, "Oh, we just lost to Vietnam's All Stars." You know, it's like that's why. So if he came out and said, "I love the club, Man United. I don't want to leave Manchester United Football Club. I want to play here and get them back to the highest level." That's what you want to be hearing. I think Mr. B's reading between the lines. I'm reading between the lines too. He does leave this himself open, like save me, cough if you want me saved or something like that. You know, that was a wink twice if you want me out of the club. You know, just come and get me, guys. You know, that sort of thing. I'm a celebrity. Get me out of here. And I do think he's on with the Portuguese squad right now. So any statements coming out would be coming from there. Obviously, they've got a game coming up, I think, against France. So really interesting to hear these quotes and things coming out. But he did consider it. And I think with that money, the price that we're talking about, I think you guys are saying like generational wealth for generations onwards, we could have earned. I'm not surprised he did consider it as well. And the state that we're in as a club, I heard Gary Neville say that it would be a mistake to sell him because he's such an important player. And I agree with what Gary Neville's saying. He is an important player. And regardless of what people think about him, he's the one. He's our best player. And if we want to push forward quicker and close the gap, we need him in the team.
Yeah, I kind of agree, Yabba. In my sort of in my imagination, what I suspect has happened. Like this is me imagining now. Is that Bruno knew he couldn't turn that offer down. It doesn't make any sense to turn that offer down. His agent was saying doing it. João Cancelo, Ronaldo were telling him to do it. His national manager was telling him, it's, you'll get picked for the World Cup. Don't worry about it. And he basically went to his wife and said, I just like, but I imagine he told her that he didn't want to do it because you're 31 or whatever, and you're getting shipped out to, a bit of a joke of a league, to be honest. But the money's too much, and I think that she basically gave him permission. It's okay to turn that money down. We'll be fine. And now there's two sort of big things for me. One is every time Bruno takes a corner and it's shit, I'm going to see 100 million whizzing by. Do you know what I mean? And then secondly, every time Bruno plays a ball in and Rasmus trips up and gives himself a wedgie, Bruno's going to see 60 million just flying out in front of him. And I think that I think that this is. I don't think that this is over, because that is going to be playing on Bruno's mind for the rest of his life if he made the right decision or not. And if, as you say, he got to go to Barcelona, Real Madrid, PSG, somewhere like that, I think he could stomach it more. So I think there's more to run in this, because Bruno's turned down more money than like you can imagine, basically. And now he's, the club's got to kind of give him a reason for turning that down. And that is not Rasmus Højlund. That is not Onana. That is not Ugarte.
Mr. B.
I think it's his wife. I just think it's his wife. Chris put something in here. A happy wife is a happy life. Brother, if you're not married or you don't have a long-term girlfriend, you lot ain't gonna understand that. So I feel that he put it to the missus and she said, we don't need the money. Rightly or wrongly, whether that's how the story go, we're never gonna know.
Mr. B, you have to be honest as well. I think getting up and packing up your things, and you'll get settled somewhere. He's been here a long time now. Packing up your things and going to somewhere with different culture altogether. Maybe she looked at it and said, "Oh, the heat, the culture's different, everything's different. Let's just stay in grim Manchester." And
Love Island starts on Monday. She was like, "Bruno, we're not missing it."
Yeah, it's a total contrast, isn't it? Living somewhere like Saudi Arabia to Europe or Great Britain. So you have to, if you're going to change your whole lifestyle and take that all in, and you've got a partner, like you said, you need to ask them about it and how they feel about it. And it's easier to blame the wife a lot of the times. The wife don't want me to do it. Because
Yeah, that's what I think he's done.
Mm.
I think that Bruno knows that from a logical position, he can't turn this down. And he's basically asked his wife for like permission not to kind of do it, because for more intangible things that can't be measured, like, kids in school and stuff like that, because it's awful that they can do this to players like him and Salah, like come and give them money that no one could turn down and say, right, off to our, my opinion, a joke of a league for PR reasons. When really, like, we would be deprived of two of the best players in the Premier League if Saudi had got their way this summer. And one of them I'm very happy to be deprived of in Salah. But I think, all in all, I think it's good for football. I think it's good for Bruno Fernandes. I don't think it's the best for Manchester United, though.
And do you think that's a diss? If he ever wanted to, do you think he's disrespected the Saudis by saying he wants to stay at the highest level, for example? Do you think that would come back to bite? They would think, how dare he subliminally say, that we're a terrible league?
Maybe Ronaldo would take that as a diss, because it's, never forget that league started because of Eric Ten Hag basically kicking Ronaldo out of the club. But maybe Ronaldo and Cancelo will be a bit pissed off with him, but it's kind of understandable. I don't know. But like, I'm trying to make it positive in my head. If they had got Bruno, where do they stop next summer? Do they go for Yamal? Do they go for Doué? Like, and things like that. So I think it's quite nice in some ways that two players have said, do you know what? I'm paid enough. We love the northwest of England. That's exactly where an Egyptian and the Portuguese man feel at home. We're staying here. So maybe there's some good to it. But I know that by Christmas, everyone is going to be furious that we don't have the Bruno money, just the way fans work.
And not to add, I think the whole project with Saudi, whether it's boxing, whether it's golf, whether it's football, whatever sports they're bringing in, they're bringing in the big names now to get that traction. Because obviously it's a change, isn't it? A lot of this stuff is new to them. They have WWE, big major events out there as well. They're opening up the doors to things like this now. So the next generation of kids, they want them to be the next legends coming through. I've seen some Saudi boxers on the undercard of these bills, and I'm thinking, boy, you better be protected. You better stay here and pray that they don't give you a real proper guy to fight, because they're not ready yet. So I think in the space, hopefully with the project they're doing now, hopefully in the next 20, 30 years, we'll see some Saudi produced players coming through, and based on their love of seeing Ronaldo and great players in the league.
That would be great.
Yeah.
Because the problem there were many problems with giving the World Cup to Qatar. But one of the ones that I think always went under the radar is Qatar had no professional league. Like, there's no league football in Qatar. And Saudi at least are trying to grow a league. Like the wrestling and the boxing and stuff like that. Unfortunately, from in the 70s and the 80s, we saw like crazy fights all over the world, like Thriller in Manila, Rumble in the Jungle, stuff like that. These are just things. These are like one-off events. But to take people from a league, it's like the China League again. Do you remember? Obviously, Fellaini went there, but Oscar was always the one that stunned me. He's still bloody there. He absolutely loves China. He speaks Chinese. His kids think they're Chinese. Like, they love it and stuff like that. And I would like the Saudi League to kind of grow and become something else. What I don't want is for them to just keep buying like the best.
That will end. I'm sure with the project, it's not sustainable to keep doing that. That will end. They have. This is the whole point: is to bring some national pride and have their own boxers coming through, or their own footballers coming through. When you look at Japan, they had a project some 40 odd years ago, didn't they? They got Zico over there and Dragan Stojkovic and all these players playing in Japan. Lineker, Grand Passate, a good one. And their national side. Their national side became better. They were very competitive. Even now, when you're playing in Australia and New Zealand, you fear South Korea, Japan, China. These guys, little guys, play some great.
Yeah, they got their pathway through Celtic now as well into European football.
Yeah.
But
And we're seeing more and
what
more
was the
Japanese
Japanese
players.
league about? Like, I know Lineker played there, but was that a similar thing? Like I don't know, Sony or someone just put a load of money in.
That's the point. And you can see now, years later, they don't need to be bringing in all these high-profile players because in their mind, these young kids love football. It's like in China with snooker. You've seen, it's had to happen sooner or later. A Chinese player was going to win the world championship because they love snooker. It's one of the top sports out there.
Oh, really?
And everyone's playing it. The snooker halls everywhere. Whereas down here, the snooker halls are all getting closed down. So there's been a change. So the development's happening. You're seeing, maybe in the future, we're going to see Saudi and Middle Eastern teams, generations coming up with all this football around them, becoming better players and being more competitive.
You're seeing great players from North Africa, like in the sort of the Arab world, like Hakimis, and you can make an argument like Zidane was essentially Algerian. I'm not sure how true it is, but I think the thing that's really interesting though is that what it sounds to me like with the Japanese league is that they put facilities and they got coaches and things in that left a lasting legacy. I'm not completely convinced that that is what is happening in Saudi Arabia and Qatar, and I think that's what kind of needs to happen. But I still wanted Bruno to go. To be perfectly honest, I've made my peace with it, and I wanted the money. And I just do you think that, like, say it gets to October and we're doing okay, but because Bruno hasn't had a good game for a while, has he?
Yeah.
Like, look at the final, right? He wasn't good in the final, was he?
He hasn't had. He's still scoring goals. He's still our creator, but I understand what you mean about a good game. Don't waste 27 passes while you've made the 4 assists. You know what I mean? Look, maybe with better players around him, by half time he'll feel that he doesn't have to do it. He doesn't play like that for Portugal.
I just think I think that essentially the relationship with the club, I say this every season, but it gets worse every season. The relationship is broken between the team and the fans. It got fixed by Ollie, and it was really exciting over COVID. And then
Always
Ten Hag, Ragnick, Amarin, they've all kind of, like, the team has got further and further away. What I'm really concerned about is that Bruno is going to move from being the sort of the one guy that everyone kind of respects to becoming a sort of totem for why didn't we sell him? We could have got in, I don't know, Tyler Dibbling or someone. And I don't see this working out well for Bruno, because, as I say, you're just looking at money wasted on the pitch now. Every time he makes a mistake, every time he doesn't perform in a big game, that will keep coming up and up and up.
Well, I think he's answered all the question marks about him over the years. He's been in the spotlight since he's come to Man United Football Club, and he keeps performing. And as bad as we are, he's the shining light. He's our best player, in my opinion. I don't know if anyone feels anyone better than him. Not me. He's our best player, and he will answer the questions over and over again. And if fans are stupid enough to say, "Oh God, we should have sold him because we're not doing well," so that's just silly. Because
I would bet you my legs that me or Mr. B say that within 6 months.
6 months. What's that? What we now in June? So by the end of the year, then. Okay.
Yeah, by December, I bet you one of me or Mr. B will, like, get emotional and say, "Look at that shit that was on the pitch. We could have had 100 million." And also, but you say he's answered all the questions.
Yes.
My question now is, what position is Bruno Fernandes going into the season?
Thank you, Bathtub. I'm so glad. Come on.
What position on the pitch?
Yes.
Yeah.
He's going to be playing. I think he'll be playing as a number. The 2 midfielders,
sixes and tens.
Yeah.
He's going to be a 6.
And then I think he'll definitely be a 6. You see, the manager's been playing him there a lot. You see, it's a bit more maturity. He's getting to the age now. If you go and look at some of these amateur leagues, there's a brilliant player called Darius, who's up and down, box to box player. And
Darius plays behind the ball as often as he can.
And he started to play as centre back. because as you get older and you got back, you see more of the game and control it. Look him up in your local Gazette, guys. You know, so this is what happens when you get older. And you've got a player like Mr. B, who's well into his 50s, still plays now and then, but now probably has a wiser brain than he had when he was running around and fighting.
What are you talking about? He's like Drogba. He just turns up for big games now, like scores a goal. And that's it. But that's
actually, big up to Rio, mate. Rio, hopefully we'll see you on the show soon. Give me a message. Send me a message on WhatsApp. Want to see you.
One thing you've said that's quite interesting to me there, Yabba, in between all that bullshit, was
it's true.
A lot of the time, when we in the past, in order to sort of get space and progress the ball up the pitch, we saw a midfielder dropping into the centre backs, and la salida Volpiano. You remember that? With the 3 centre-back formation, we can't actually really do that. And I think that really takes away quite a lot of Bruno's game, that he has to be we used to call them lighthouses, didn't we? Like the pivots, like they have to be sort of fixed. Everyone gets their position around them. I think that Bruno's, I think it's like a bit like trying to train a cat, Bruno Fernandes. Like, just let him be a cat. Don't try and have him as a sheepdog, because he's not going to follow instructions. He's going to go off his instinct. And that is kind of when he's best. And I'm very worried that, because I think if the season started tomorrow, I think Bruno and Casemiro would be the 2 sixes. Bueno and Cunha would be the 2 10s. And I know that Bruno and Casemiro are not good enough to get you anywhere in the Premier League in those positions. So I don't know where we go from there. Am I wrong? Is that a poor assessment?
I just think you have to wait and see. When we've got a better side and we're improving and we're scoring goals and we're offering more of a threat going forward, I think there's less pressure on the midfield and the defence. We've got issues with the midfield. We talk about Casemiro and Bruno. We talk about all these partnerships there. I just want to play the best players, and another season, more time with the manager to work with the players. Main point for me, I think, going forward, when you look at Bruno, Coutinho, control, like I mentioned yesterday, controlling the games all over social media now. The goal that he set up for Doué, he just picked up the ball, popped it around. No one can get near him. Bruno can do that in that deeper position. He can do that. He should look at that and say, I can do this too. But he just needs better players around him and not trying to do everything
player
himself.
Beside him.
And have trust in it. And I think he will respect 25-year-old Mbeumo. He respected 25-year-old Cunha, because they're, he looks to them and says, boy, these are good players. And that will help us progress and play better. And I think he can dictate the play from deep.
Would you swap Amrin for Enrique?
For who?
Enrique.
Enrique's done really well. I like what he's done. He seems like top manager. Trebled with Barcelona, trebled with Paris Saint-Germain, and he's built Paris Saint-Germain on good values. So you can't fault him. He's a top manager. And if you're asking, would I swap? It's not going to happen. But he was someone, if we did get rid of Amrin, he's someone I would love to have, yeah.
Because you're never going to get that type of football from Amarin's system. Like the sort of like the tiki-taka sort of rotations with the Vitinha and the João Neves with the security of the
I think he can.
Ruiz.
Not with a 2. Not with a 2.
Players.
Yeah, but I don't think you can do it with a 2. Yeah, but you always have to be aware. One of them is always going to have to be aware.
You can.
Do you need are you talking like Beckenbauer being a centre back that kind of steps up to make the 3, or like? Where would the better player make a difference? Because
you're talking about the 3. It's not going to be a 3. There's going to be 2 and maybe one of the 10s coming in, dropping in. That's a rotation. One comes in, one goes out. This is how you drag teams around. You get open space for others. You need movement off the ball.
Yeah.
So we're talking about, it has to be a 3. I don't think it has to be, because we have to work with what we have. And you always raise the question, Bath Time, even though you're of the age where you grew up in a 4-4-2, how do you play 2? I've never understood that.
I'm not of the age.
He wasn't. He's not.
I'm not of
he's
the
not.
age.
He's 4-3-3.
Yeah, no, but you should be of the age. He's a 4-4-2. I'm not
Yeah,
going
but
to
he's
your
not.
age or anything, but you grew up in a 4-4-2. I never understood.
No, I didn't. I
No,
grew up seeing it on the
no,
telly.
see, right,
You're
you've
playing
got to
a
understand.
4-3-3. You've accumulated other systems in your head, but me and Mr. B, we grew up on 4-4-2.
I've never been coached in a 4-4-2.
Maybe watching you've watched 4-4-2, but always played in a 4-3-3. See, that's what I'm saying. It's different. Maybe he wasn't played for, and guess what? If he was playing in a 4-4-2 at 5, he wouldn't have understood what he was doing anyway.
I'd have understood it perfectly. How dare you? no, but but I have 4-4-2 is not my thing. 3-5-2 is not my thing. I've seen them on the telly, but I value practical experience over everything. So I'm not familiar with those systems. But what I'm fairly sure of is that you can't get the football that PSG played using the 3-4-3 system.
In what way? What you say? Have you seen? All right, let's put it another way. Have you seen? We're talking about 3-4-3. Have we seen it be successful with any teams recently?
Recently, yes, by Leverkusen, and you can argue Inter.
Yeah, so there you go. So there's two teams there.
That was not the point I was making.
And came from nowhere, and Sporting as well. Let me just name it.
Okay, Sporting, sure.
By Leverkusen, season before, nearly got relegated, learned the system, came back the following season and won the league and went almost invincible and got to the final of Europe as well, beating the great Bayern Munich. And with the system, playing it and seeing it unplayable, exciting stuff. The fans were happy, everyone's buzzing. Well, this is Xavi Alonso, what he's done. Then you've seen what Amorim's done at Sporting. Similar thing. Came in, took a while, people questioning him. Then the following seasons come and they've trumped Benfica and Porto and won the league. And they just won it again based on the foundation that he built. Then, like you say, you got into 2 finals in 2 years. I know they got whipped 5-0, and that was enough to make a grown man cry. But there's been success. So let's wait and see what happens this season with better players and more knowledge of the system. And then we can talk about whether, I'm not saying play exactly like Paris Saint-Germain. I'm saying Coutinho, that goal that he set up for Doué, the topic was Bruno. Can he play that role? He likes to sit back and dictate. He can do that. It's about getting space, creating space for yourself, running off the ball. Coutinho didn't stop running. He's looking for space, scanning, looking for space.
Yeah, but Bruno can't run like Coutinho though.
And he's not allowed to in that system.
It's not the system. It's about the play. I'm talking about the play. You look at that and say, can I dictate the play like that in my own way? And not
with two. I just can't see it happening with two midfield.
All right, fair enough.
I'm not saying, but we're not saying the system can't be successful. That I think that you think that is the point.
I'm not talking about the system. I'm talking about the player. Bruno. The topic was Bruno. Just signed a new contract. What can he do? Where can he play? That was the question. Where can he play this season?
If we put Bruno into the PSG team instead of Coutinho, I think that you would get. I think you'd get a lot out of Bruno doing that, and he wouldn't look at a place, etc. If you put Coutinho into our system in Bruno's position as a 6, I think it would be an absolute disaster, personally. And I think that Bruno and Casemiro there's not enough physicality in that team, and I think that they're both being misused in those positions. Is kind of the point that I'm trying to make. And now, I suppose the follow-on, Yabba, is that if Bruno's going to be the 6 and he's the club captain, and we can quite rightly assume he's the first name on the team sheet, he's going to play whenever he's available, and he's going to play at 6, who's next to him? Do we need to buy?
Yes.
Good question. All right.
It can't be.
Thank you. You're happy with that, are you? Are we friends again?
Yeah, Mr. B.
Did you just give me the middle finger?
No, so I'm pointing up to Mr. B. I wouldn't do that to you.
Thank you.
Yeah. I'm pointing out to Mr. B with my index finger, saying, Mr. B, you were talking about this yesterday about buying the midfield. You felt that was vital. Whereas that's when Bathtime stepped in and said, which is true, we need a goalkeeper and striker, but we've come out again. We need to be talking about this.
Yeah, we need a central midfielder. Agate is not the guy. He's a destroyer in a 3, I don't see Agati would have a problem, but you need both midfielders to be one to be top, passing, and the other one to be a lot better than average. I'm not saying Agate's passing is below average, but for the Premier League, it's a lot below average. So whoever that person is needs to have legs, for one. If Bruno's going to be in there, because Bruno's not the quickest, and he has to be able to pass. So if they do pin down Bruno, then at least that the other central midfielder is still able to vary the play. It's not going to be going sideways and backwards and 4 yards forward, because the player on the ball doesn't have the ability to spray one. Casemiro, love him, but the Premier League is too quick for him. He proved what his better games were. So there's a lot of positions. There's a lot of positions that we need, and I think if Bruno stays, I don't see him playing in the 10, especially if he's going to spend money on Mwemba, what's his name?
Mbeumo.
Yeah, Mbeumo and Cunha, and -9 has got to go. So unless he's going to play with a shadow striker, which could be Xerxes to a certain extent, but I'm not sure how that system works. In regards to how the runners would be running off them. But look, that's what the coaches' jobs are for. It might be something that he does have time to tweak it in the summer. If he doesn't get.
I mean, because I know we're getting Cunha and Mbeumo, and everyone's saying, "Oh, they're the 2 10s." But is it possible that one of them could play as the 9, and then we could have Bruno in that position? Is that possible?
It is possible, but
it's not a good use of the funds.
Yeah. I don't. I'm with bath time. I would rather have Mbeumo playing as the 10 and Cunha coming in as the 10 and getting rid of that person and replacing him. We can't do Chido, so we can't rely on Chido, God bless him. So somebody needs to come into the club.
Did you see Chido's goal the other day?
Against Vietnam All-Stars.
Not the header, regardless.
Yeah, I said it was a proper goal. When he finished it, I said I did say it was a proper
clarifying the match.
Nice goal, wasn't it? Left foot. Come on.
It was, but you can't hang your hat on Chido yet. He's a project, as it were. Mr. B, one of my favourite defensive midfielders for Manchester United in the past 10 years is Matic. I absolutely loved Matic. Left-footed, really disciplined, great striker of the ball. But as we all know, he lacked the ability to sort of do vertical and horizontal spaces and so on. A player of that quality isn't the answer, is it? It's got to be a more physical. You need the henchman now next to Bruno.
I want an enforcer. If they could get somebody like Newcastle. I just think about Newcastle's midfielders. I'm not going to say Dylan, and I think he's a freak but if we could get somebody like Tonali, who I don't know how big he is, but he looks huge. He looks so wide. You see him playing, man's bouncing off his back. That is what we need.
Powerful.
And he gets around the pitch. So
very good as well. He's a proper player.
But do we need that? Do we need that next to Bruno?
If Bruno's in there, we do 100%. 100%.
What technicality?
Yeah,
more
you
the physical
talked about the past. You talked about someone who could spray.
Yeah, I think
I didn't say.
I did.
B said that. Yeah.
Well, that was more if they hold down Bruno, because if they see Bruno as the outlet, then teams are going to focus on Bruno. I would like.
That. I'm trying to think what you're trying to get in my mind. Who you're talking about? So you're naming attributes of what we need for this position. So who's going to play alongside Bruno, sort of player? I've seen in the comments they're talking about Calcedo, someone we weren't.
No.
But what about the guy from Brighton? Yeah, you talk about a guy from Brighton. Did he tick the boxes for you?
I would. Yes.
What do you like?
Him and Amadou and Anna are like the clear standouts. I think.
Fair enough. Can they pass in range and they
Baleba can? I'm not sure about Onana. I know you've liked Onana for a little while. I mean, look, maybe stranger things have happened. PSR is a deadly thing, and I think
Villa need to sell, don't they?
Yeah.
And there's a player that we've got that they might like in Rashford. We could sort that out, but you can't. they're not going to lose. They're not going to let him go after a year. I just like, in terms of like, obviously, like with a midfielder, you need them to have like a basic floor to be able to pass the ball and all these different things. What I'm asking, and I think it's kind of been answered, is that the physical is the bit that we need to get, that needs to be like where the money is going, as it were. And so, shout out to Tyrone. He's listed Wharton there. I'm not sure. Wharton is a wonderful player, and I really like him, but he's not anywhere near the levels of Labour or Onana in terms of physicality.
Who's his partner at? Who plays beside him at Crystal Palace?
My mind's gone blank. I've watched them so much.
Yeah, what's his name? The French African guy. He's African.
Decore.
Is his name Decore?
Apparently. Hughes doesn't play.
No,
Hughes doesn't play.
Yeah, it's Decore. Yeah, it is Decore. Yeah.
And what are Decore's assets? Because Wharton looks good when he plays.
Remember, we were friends with Eagle Eyed Football, the Crystal Palace fan channel. Go and support them. They rave about this guy. I'm sure it's Decore. I'm thinking maybe I'm wrong, but maybe it's Decore. But no, it's not. Is it? I'd have to look it up. But he was injured towards the end of the season, and he came back. But he's there. They were saying, as fans, they were saying, you watch, everyone's going to be in for him next year. This was last season I'm talking about. He's got everything about him. He's combative. He can play. He's got, he's strong. He goes unnoticed, but he allows us to play football. I can't remember his name. I'm going to find out now while you guys are going on.
But yeah, so like Wharton, I'd love to get Wharton in, but if Bruno's the number 6, he needs a kind of bodyguard, I think, as opposed to another like sort of technical player next to him. And I'm not sure like who that is, who's available. There was a guy called Fafana.
It is Decore. Sorry, yeah, it's Decore and just some Lerma. But it's Decore is the guy. He only had 13 appearances because he's injured. But I tell you, that guy is a good player. He's got all the attributes. My bad.
What are those attributes?
Similar. It's very combative. Remember they were saying, I don't know if you remember Rich from Eagle Eye Football was on. He said,
of course,
he's combative. He gets around the park. He's strong as well. Sort of like who's the guy Chelsea signed? Michael
Essien.
Yeah. Sort of those attributes, which is really effective in the modern football, isn't it? So Decore, they were really raving about him, but he's only played 13 games because he had a serious injury this season. But now he's the guy who sits alongside Wharton and gives him that protection with the physicality.
Yeah, I just think it's a bit. I'd much prefer us to sign Adam Wharton than Decore. Like that's my kind of gut instinct. But can Ugarte do it, do you think?
No.
He's the best suited, though, isn't he? When you think about on paper what we've got.
Yeah, but because he can't find the play with the pass. I mean, look, no player is going to be let's say there are complete players, but you talked about him lacking his passing range before he came by half time, and it's perfectly there for everybody to see. Yeah, he's probably one of the top percentile in Europe in winning the ball back and interceptions, but if his pass rate is 86% or 85%, all right, it sounds like a lot for us, but then when you see players are hitting 93 and 94% in midfield, there's a difference, and he's not doing these expansive passes like Bruno's trying. He's passing the ball.
That's the thing.
He's passing the ball 10 yards.
He doesn't take responsibility to like.
He's passing the ball 20 yards.
Player,
sometimes it's not finding the player.
Yeah, he always just like lays it off instead of like playing with a bit of courage, and he might be able to. He made improvements towards the end of the season in terms of his use of the ball, but I mean, Toby Collier maybe can he step up? Can this Kone bloke that you all like can he fit in? Because I'm telling you now, there's no combination between Bruno, Ugarte, and Casemiro that is going to get you success. And now he's staying. we've got to prioritise a partner for him, because it doesn't matter if Rasmus is shit or Anana's got no legs. Like, we've got to get the middle of the pitch under control, and it's not under control with those pairings.
I think we've got Collier and Kone to come in, and Kobe. I'm happy with
Yeah,
midfield.
but no, you can't be happy with that because it's unproven. I know you're happy with everything. It's just how you are. I'm saying you can't be happy because I'm saying it, but I know you are going to be happy with that. We can't take the chance. We've already trusted in youth in -9. Yeah, I don't think. Yeah, they have. They've trusted
in -9.
No, I said they have trusted in youth.
Right.
Yeah, entrusted in youth. No. I wouldn't do that to you. I wouldn't do that to you. Yeah, I don't see youth being the answer, especially in that position. You need somebody who knows what they're doing. You know, if you had somebody of experience and then maybe you had Collier and Kobe beside him, fine. But we actually need that position. So I wouldn't trust Collier. I wouldn't trust Kobe in there at the moment. And Agate, as I think has shown that he's maybe not the one.
You need to build something to compete with Newcastle. That's got to be the benchmark. You can put a team out that can.
But they're top end. But Jesus, I know you're saying they're the benchmark. They are, but
that's
there's not much teams. We've got a long way to go.
That's the top standard. If you can beat up, if you can live with the Newcastle midfield, you should be able to get top 4, and you should be able to go deep in European competition. So I'm not saying like it needs to be done this summer. But, and I think Amrin says this as well quite often, is that the physical floor of that team has got to go up. We're living like hobbits, like under the hill. We need to be on like an oil rig or something to compete with an oil-driven Newcastle United. So that's got to be the plan. So anyone we get in has got to be kind of like powerful and a runner, and can win their air and ground duels.
All right.
Loud Mouth Football say McTominay and Fred are an upgrade to this.
You see his hat?
I haven't.
He's a Liverpool fan.
Oh, that's fine. I don't have a problem. He's joined it before you leave, because I know you're going to just hit the like before you go. Tyrone, I'm not sure that you're going to get the answer that I'm expecting, but Fran Kirby has been forced to retire from international football at the age of 31. Serena Wiegman has told her she will not make the Lionesses squad. Do you have an opinion on that, Yaba?
No, I did that today, so don't try and call me out here. I've got nothing to say on those matters.
It's falling apart, the Lioness squad. Like Mary Beard announced her international retirement 6 weeks before the tournament started, Yaba. Do you think that there's a lack of good characters in that squad, or what's going on there? Mary sorry, not Mary Beard. Mary Beard is a well-known classicist.
I'm going to use the words of Bruno Fernandes. Fling it up again, please. I'm going to use the words of the great Bruno Fernandes. I want to concentrate on talking about football at the highest level.
Oh my God.
That's what he's saying. That's what he wants to do, and that's what I want to do with Man United Football Club. I want Man United Football Club to get back to the highest level, and that's all I'm really concerned about. A high level football, enjoying Man United playing at high level football. This is the level, I could never make it myself there, but I enjoy seeing that sort of level, whether it's snooker, basketball, tennis. Roland Garros is on that now. I like to see high level quality for sports.
Look, Tyrone's offering to take you for a game, and yes, we got the 20 likes. We got the 20 likes. Look, we've talked about Bruno for a bit. Obviously, we knew the deal with Wasteman Jaden. It looks like Chelsea are sending him back. They've decided they would rather pay 5 million than spend the 20 million on Mr. Sancho. West Ham were offered him. They turned down the chance to sign him. I don't see any way on God's green earth where he plays for us again next season. He may well go out on a tour. He may well wear whatever shirt he's got. on the tour, but I know I'm convinced that the club are going to be looking to get rid of this and sell him.
I'm not. I'm not, because do you remember how I said that Lindelof? Everyone gets under the spell of Lindelof, and before you know it, he's played 15 games and is like playing in finals and so on. Erik ten Hag put Sancho at false 9, I think, in a tournament, and he absolutely loved him. Some of Sancho's best games came when Ten Hag used to bump Bruno out to right wing and have Sancho inside. I can see Amorim falling under the spell of Sancho in pre-season training. I don't want it to happen. I want Sancho put in a cannon and shot out of space to go see Katy Perry. But I know you've seen these things before. Like Sancho's technical ability can like seduce managers and so on.
1 year left on his contract.
Well, yeah. So you're not going to get a huge amount of money for him. Like wages aren't as big a deal as people make out in terms of paying them. It's moving players on. I have a fear that Amorim, desperate for attacking quality, will look at Sancho. And Sancho will do some nice stuff in training, and he'll claim he's all different and he's grown up and so on. I can see that happening, unfortunately. But I want to be clear: I don't want it to happen. I want him gone.
If it's for the benefit of the team, footballing reasons, that he can make us better, then I've got no issue with it. But I understand the fans. What is your main issue with Sancho? If he makes us a better team, but going forward, and what is your issue? Has he buried himself? Is there no coming back for him? For you guys, I know Mr. B's like, nah, he's done with him. But if he makes a better player, then maybe I would consider.
Let me get a few of these Sancho comments up. Let's get a few and see if there's any forgiveness here. Yeah, Chris Werns says Sancho will go to Sunderland on loan. Ria has said he's finished. Aces, I have no idea where you heard this one from, but Bayern want Sancho. Starting number 9 game of the season. Oh, fuck me. Jaden Sandwich. He's been called. Kieran said Jaden can do one. Look at him now. He likes to talk. He's going nowhere. Saudi Arabia are interested in. Okay, so Aces is going to go through a whole list of leagues. No one signing Jaden. He's on 300 grand a week, and the reason why apparently he didn't sign for Chelsea is because he wasn't willing to take a pay cut,
or we weren't willing to pay him the difference.
Well, whatever. I don't think we should be paying him shit, but he's got a year left on his contract. We've paid it. We've paid off all the installments, so whatever we get from him now is gonna be profit. He can't, even on 300 grand a week, make it a price where they can get rid of him. That's what I'm hoping.
Well, there won't be any fee for Sancho, I would think now. Like, teams are paying us not to have him.
Can
yes.
You? Are you in the chat as well?
No.
Oh, right.
Of course I'm not. Just what
I'm saying. Do me a favor. Just ban him, please.
Like Bilal.
Just do your thing. Oh, wow. Another bath time. No, it's twat. Just ban him.
It can only be one.
Exactly. I'm like the Highlander.
He said, oh, wow. He said, oh, wow. Another bath time. No. Thank you very much. Appreciated. Thank you. Oh, wow. Another bath time.
Bath time's been cloned.
Look, let's not get onto that. Yeah, let's not get onto that. So we all agree that Sancho's got to go, which is fine.
I don't think he will. I
said we've all agreed. This is a channel decision. We've all agreed that Sancho has to go.
We're making channel decisions now. I am absolutely terrified of Rashford and Sancho casting some spell over Amorim. Like, I think it's less likely with Rashford because he booted Rashford, like from the squad, didn't he? But I think I do really, really worry because Amrin's got to know. Oh, but maybe Amrin will look at Rashford and Sancho and think these guys get me the sack. He's got to think that. He's got to
Yeah.
see what they've done to all the other managers. And surely, yeah, but do you think managers think like that? Like they'll look at the players around them, like in their squad, like like Lindelofs and McTominay's. They're the guys that will keep you in the job, Delos and things. But it's Sancho's and Rashford's that get you the sack. That's
Yeah.
my only sort of like hope with
I
Amrin.
think he's a bright guy, Amron. He understands a lot about personality. He's been a player, hasn't he? He's been a Portuguese player, playing in Portugal for a lot of the time. He's seen the politics. He's seen dressing rooms. He understands that. He's transferred that now to management. And he's still quite young. He understands culture of players and bad attitude players and everything. So I think he's aware of that. That's why he got rid of Rashford. Realizes just imbalance. Not saying Rashford's got bad attitude. Just unsettled or unbalanced the squad. And he sacrificed that because Rashford could have continued to play for us and could have got a couple of goals here and then. And, got up to 12th place or something like that. But he sacrificed that to say, no, for the harmony, he wants certain sort of players. And I just think he should be able to close the door and say, no, you're not welcome back. Like a bouncer, put on his bouncer suit. So when these players come back from their previous clubs on loan or everything else, say, sorry, your name's on the list, you're not coming in. And get them, just make a statement by not bringing them on tour, not teasing, like you said, getting turned on by them in training and then getting them in play games. Waste of a player. Get a young player to play in that position until we get someone to fill the boots, So
Garnacho, Anthony, Sancho, Rashford, that's a lot to get out of the door. And Rashford and Garnacho, I think, would be the priorities for Amrin to get out of the squad based on what he's done. Why are you putting that up, Mr. B?
No, I'm trying to delete it. I'm trying to fucking delete it. There you go. Apologies. Yeah,
Well
I'm trying
done.
to delete it. Sorry. You know me. I'm not quite technical, but I did. Yeah.
But I do sort of think that like Anthony, strong interest in him, so that's not going to be difficult. But of all that equation of the players that are going to go, I can see Sancho being the one by default staying,
because of the high wage and who wants it.
Yeah, because of the market forces, but also he's got to get Garnacho out. He's got to get Rashford out. Like he's really like tied his colours to the mast by kicking Rashford out of the club, and also what's gone on with Garnacho is it's so unfortunate, but he's got to go now. Or Amrin loses, I think, a bit of credibility and a bit of control and all those sort of things.
It's not Amrin, though, is it? I mean, the club people in staff to actually get rid of players. But if Amrin's decision would say, I don't want him at the training ground, that's where he can really put his foot down. Or I don't.
Yeah, but he can't because that's illegal.
Well, then they've got to find a way to do it. He's got to make a statement to these players, meet with them, and say, look, you're not part of this crew. You're not like V, a bit like V. Say you're not part of this crew anymore. You can't join our gang.
Yeah, I do worry so much. I do worry so much about Sancho getting back in. It's just those freedom comments are the only thing that is keeping me kind of hopeful, because you can't publicly disrespect the club like that.
The whole club
still have a place. Yeah. You're right. Yeah, Mr. B, he can't come back. Yeah.
Could it have been misconstrued? What he said?
As what? He's a huge Mel Gibson fan.
I just want to make sure I'm quite ignorant when my mind's made up, and I was mad as soon as I saw it. I'm just putting it out there. Was there any, was it misconstrued? Was it anything,
So the most charitable explanation for it would be that it was about Ten Hag and not about Manchester United. But hang on, he was shipped out, but he made that comment after Rashford left, didn't he, to go to Villa?
Yeah.
There's no charitable explanation for it. He's got to get, and I hope that when Sancho's contract runs down and no one signs him, I hope he enjoys his freedom then.
We could talk about freedom. Paul Pogba's back, isn't he? I think Monaco were interested in him, but we always hear about. When he was at the club, you always hear about him during the international breaks and summer break. He always comes out with some quotes, but he's been pretty quiet. So I heard today that Paul Pogba could be going to Monaco, which would be a great move for him, considering he's been out of football for so long.
It's kind of a who cares for me, about that.
A bit like Sancho, yeah.
Well, Sancho's still our player,
but no one cares about him. This is my point. Yeah, no one really cares about Rashford, Sancho, and Anthony.
Which is good.
Because it will help us get them off the wage bill, get some transfer fees for these players, and that will help us, move on and get players that we really want to play for Man United.
How do you feel? Like, because you obviously saw Sancho as a young boy when he was down at Watford and things, and you were always a huge fan of his and things. What do you think has gone wrong? Because I'm with you on the fact that his technical ability I have never questioned. He's got such a lovely soft touch and all those things. What is there anything we can learn from Sancho to make sure it doesn't happen to, say, Chido?
Yeah, it's the distraction of being a footballer so young and what comes to you. It's always been like, we can go back to George Best being in the spotlight and so young and doing it so young, scoring in the final in '68 and then being in the spotlight, girls all over you. Most footballers, go and watch some of these podcasts, with footballers. The lifestyle is outrageous. Honestly, it really is. It's a different world to the way we live. And I've had a little experience of seeing what they get up to, but it's mad, really mad. And I think someone like Sancho, when you're consumed, you're playing football, it just becomes a side thing. You got to be a monster at football. You got to be disciplined at it. He's talented enough, but he hasn't got the effort, it seems, and I think he's more distracted by the lifestyle that comes with being a top footballer, and he's living his life now. Now I'm 50 years old. I look back at my life and flipping out, waste a lot of my youth just doing foolishness, raving, going out, doing stupidness.
And the rest you wasted.
Huh?
and the rest of the time you wasted.
Yeah, there you go. But you look back, you say, "Wow, I could have been." But if I would have been disciplined, you could have done something better in your life, got a better job, gone to university, done something. You could have invested something. But when you're young, you think you're Superman, don't you? And I think Sancho, as talented as he is, he clearly likes the fashion, the lifestyle, the cars, the fame, the girls, and all these things that come with it. Look at Jermaine Pennant. He went off the rails because he enjoyed that lifestyle.
Yeah, man.
And in the end, it destroys you. There was I saw a clip the other day from 2017. It was Glenn Hoddle and Roy Keane in the studio, and the commentator, the guy in the studio, the straight guy, was saying, "Oh, look at Dele Alli. He's fantastic. He's on his way to becoming world class." And Keane was just like, and suddenly said, "Well, I've heard some things about his lifestyle. If he doesn't sort that out, he's not going to be the player that you think he's going to be." And he turned out.
What I wanted to know, Yabba, is that I like my speculation and my theories. I don't think it's a coincidence that when Rashford and Sancho became friends, in a sort of reverse of Messi and Ronaldo, they both went off a cliff. I think that they've been bad influences on each other, because what you're saying about Sancho, I think you can say exactly the same about Rashford with this kind of performance of being a footballer. Like when he went to the basketball with all his nice clothes and his jewelry and things like that. That's people can do what they want, but that showed to me someone who wanted to sort of convey an image, as it were, or that it was like a child playing dress up or something, in my opinion. And I feel that Sancho has been quite similar at Manchester United. He's never really been a football player. He's been something else. And do you know what I mean? I think that those two meetings are bad for each other.
What gets me with the generation of people now coming up, you think, wow, are you serious? His argument would be, look at my girl. Or look at my Rolex watch. You ain't got that. Or look at them cash. Look at the Money Mayweather sort of attitude, flashing cash. You ain't got that. You're just a hater. That's the kind of argument you'll get if you criticize him. But for me, that's just whack. You know, look when you look at all the great Cuban boxers from the past, on Stevenson.
I assume they grew up in communism, though, so there's a slightly different culture.
Yeah, but the thing is, my point is, they were offered millions and millions and millions to fight, and they refused it. They refused it because they said the millions of pounds you offer me is nothing compared to the millions of credit or respect I get from my own people. So
yeah, that's intrinsic versus extrinsic motivation.
Which I don't understand the word of what that means, but,
okay.
But my point is this: if more footballers who are on big money understood that to get on side with the fans and be loved by the people is much better. It's better to be the people's champ than just be your own personal champ and have everything. Nice.
I disagree with that. Like on the basis, like, are you interested in what intrinsic and extrinsic means?
If it's related to what we're talking about,
yes. There are two. It's a theory of motivation, and intrinsic motivation is essentially you do something to get better at the task. You're doing it to improve yourself. And that is where you're motivated from. So with football, you might have wanted to do 20 keepy uppies, 30 keepy uppies, 40, 50. Like you're like competing with yourself, as it were. Extrinsic motivation is basically to be top of the scoreboard. It doesn't matter about you. It's about kind of how you appear to other people. So like those are very, very powerful forces that have a real grip on you. Like things like Twitter with the likes, and even on YouTube, the views, those are all extrinsic motivators. Whereas we like good conversations, and that's like an intrinsic motivation. So with players like Sancho and Rashford, despite being very introverted characters, they seem to be very extrinsically motivated. And I would love us that when we start recruiting, we think about what motivates people. And what's great about the Bruno news is everything he said was kind of intrinsic motivation. It wasn't the money. It wasn't this. He still wants to perform for himself and us and the fans and everything at the highest level. And I think that that's a really underlooked part of football, is what the motivation is for playing, because the best players play for the love of the game, in my opinion. Like Maradona warming up for Napoli is still one of the greatest things I've ever seen. It was just pure joy at what he was doing. And I really want to see much more sort of like intrinsic motivation to perform for the fans and for yourself and your family. And that's what Roy Keane, whenever he talks, he's always talking about intrinsic motivation. Like, and he's always saying that when he sees people kidding someone on, pretending to close down, that's more extrinsic motivation. And I think it's a really good lens to look at our footballers with from now on.
Thank you so much. I mean, intrinsic and extrinsic.
X out of, internal.
Intrinsic, X out. So yeah, that's something I've learned today. I didn't know about that. Was that a theory or something?
Yes, it's a very well-established theory of motivation.
Okay. I love the way you put it. It's just exactly great example of what we've seen with the footballers like Sancho and that. So yeah, nice stuff. Big up to Luca as well.
Yeah, shout out Luca.
Yeah, Hydro as well. I've seen so many good faces, Tactical Devils, Gavin McDuffel, whatever. Stephanie Griffiths as well is in the house. Overhead Kick, how you doing, bro? So many cool people in the chat. Tyrone, Andrew, all you guys, Titanium. Big up to
Bath Time.
Yeah, Bath Time.
Bath Time 2.0.
Yeah, but we don't have control of the comments, do we, Yabba? So we can't.
Oh, yes. Do you know what? Yeah, look, you know what? You guys can blame me. I know you lot were probably bitching that we didn't read your comments out, and I think I read out too. I was supposed to be controlling the comments, and I probably forgot.
It's a team game, Mr. B. We all take the blame. We all take the glory. We do it as a team.
Okay, but I'd still like to explain. So don't be upset if your messages will come up and they weren't read out. I'll be on holiday for a couple of days so they can read them out then. What else do we have to talk about, guys? Is there anything else before we get out of here?
Been linked with 2 strikers. I think that who they are isn't particularly interesting. It's is it Ramos, who's the Portuguese lad at PSG, and Mitrovic. I think the type of players they are is quite interesting because they're not Xerxes like players that drop and play someone in, and it makes me wonder what the plan is for Xerxes, because he's now, if he's a 10, he's competing with Bueno, Cunha, Ahmad, Mount, Kobe, and he is at the bottom of the list for me, to be honest now.
Well, maybe the fact that we've got limited games. Maybe he'll be a victim of circumstance. Maybe Amarin will ship him off. You know, if they get the money back for him, what they had him for a year. You know, let's be honest, we didn't spend a lot of him, but if they can make their money back for a little profit, maybe he'll be the one to go.
I personally, I think that he's got a good reputation in football. I think he's demonstrated that his character's good coming back after what happened against Newcastle. I think that teams in Italy would be very happy to take him. And I think that it's with regret. I think he's someone we should be looking to sell or loan if they're going for these more sort of physical, runny strikers.
So, I mean, it'd be good to have something different. I don't have a problem keeping him, but I'm not interested in owning any players unless they're the youth players. Anybody who's, you know, who classifies them as a proper footballer. I don't want to be loaning anybody. Get rid of them. Get them out. Get the money in and get them gone.
Yeah, but it's like, as you say, he's a victim of circumstance. Loan deals are also like a victim of circumstance because sometimes clubs don't have the money available and things like that, and you have to do an obligation.
We don't have any money available by half time, though.
We got loads available now. You got Ratcliffe like investing all that money like this week. Like Anthony will get sold. I think that one of Rashford or Garnacho, so one of Kobe or Garnacho will be getting sold. Like, we've got a bit of cash flow coming into the club. I think it's okay to do a loan as long as there's an obligation or something. And to be honest, I know it would never happen, but I'd love to see Mason Mount sent out on loan with a handshake and all that. But he's not reliable enough to be included as a first team squad player at the moment. And
so how you see with Mount, obviously he has been injured for 2 years. There has to come a stage where you stop being injured. Do you think the fact that he played
when he dies?
Well, oh wow! Do you think it's going to be that bad? You don't think he's going to stay fit the whole of next season?
Look, he's been fit. What's his longest time being fit at Manchester United? Is it 6 weeks?
Oh God!
Yeah, it must have been this last part. This last little run in here. I'm going to assume it's been the longest period that he's been fit.
Yeah, so it's been about 6 weeks. I think Mason Mount is a good player. I understand why people like him. Great trainer, good character. He's had his moments at the top level. He was Chelsea's player of the season 2 years in a row in the Premier League. I just think it's like a sunk fallacy cost now, where we're hoping to kind of get him up and running against all the evidence that we've seen. And because of what happened against Tottenham, and because we need a clear out, I think that we should look at Mount and see if we can loan him to an Italian or a Spanish team and like try and phase him out, because we're now going for big henchmen up front with Cunha and Bueno, and I don't see where Mount fits in that kind of vision. And so I think we've got to make hard choices about people like him and Xerxes and Ahmad.
Yeah. Don't include Ahmad in that.
Where's Ahmad going to play next year?
Competition is good. Competition for places is good. You know, Bremer might not come in and be that guy for the first 3 months. You know,
that's true. Yeah, that's a good point.
You know, they've got, and guess what? If they're in, it may benefit us for the cup competitions. We'll be able to go strong in the cup competitions. If we got these players busting their neck to want to play in the Premier League, you know, maybe there will be a culture change and he'll be able to go strong. You know, if he's got a strong 16, 17, and then he can supplement You know, the Premier League, you go the strong 16, 17, and then the cups, you play the, you know, I mean, it's not going to be a problem if Mbeumo plays instead of Ahmad, or Mbeumo plays instead of Konya. The level, what do you talk about? The floor being lifted. I think, yeah, the floor's being raised with those players. So maybe it benefits us not having, you know, if Mount has to go, you know, Mount has to go. You know, if Kobe has to go, which I hope it's not Kobe, Kobe has to go, but let there be a high level of competition. He's going to work with a much smaller squad this year, in regards to full international, maybe. But he's got a lot of those youth players. I think has impressed him.
Do you think we can get away with 2 players per position, like 6 centre backs, 4 wing backs?
Yeah,
4.
Yeah, why not?
Well, in that case, then we're overstocked at 10, aren't we?
Somebody's going to. Well, we know Garnacho's going. That's one.
I'd already counted him off.
Oh God, I still think we're overstacked. 1, 2.
I'm thinking Xerxes, Mount, Ahmad, Kobe. Like,
I don't think Ahmad's a 10. I think he plays Ahmad wide.
Okay, but I think okay. Well, I think one of Xerxes or Mount kind of has to be moved on for numbers, because you've also got to remember we've got a 25-man squad. Like, it's got to be Xerxes because Mount's homegrown. Yeah,
and that was my thought as well. And his stock is still high. His stock is still high in Italy. So, I mean, Mount's stock is not high anyway. So yeah, we're more likely to have to keep hold of him. Xerxes we can get rid of. His wages aren't high. The fee that we paid for him wasn't high. So even if we get less than we paid for him, 25 mil will cover everything. So I'm sure. Look, it's going to work out. It's going to work out one way or the other. I'm sure. Look, it's only 3 days into the window, and we're already dreaming about, you know, midfield partners for Bruno, dream strikers, Ramos being offered to us. Look, it's early. We have no control over what's going on, but we do have control over the show times on our show. So look, guys, we will be back tomorrow. I will apologize for not monitoring the messages and reading them out, but I did get them up on screen. So you were acknowledged. We hit the 25 like mark for a live show, which is pretty impressive for us. So yeah, look, we'll be back tomorrow. Bath time, is there anything you want to say before you laugh or not?
No, thank you. Once again, really enjoyed the show, talking to you two guys. I didn't try to say any urban slang this evening, so we'll try and bring that back maybe tomorrow. But yeah, I really enjoyed tonight's show. Thank you.
Yeah, well.
Yeah, likewise. Really enjoyed it as well. Some really great comments. Nice to have a full house again in the comments. Big up to all you guys. Big up, Mr. B. Big up, and to you, Mr. D. Mr. Well,
Call me whatever you like. Yeah,
Mr. D.
Waiting for you.
So, guys, it's a lack of notch from me.
Lack of notch from me.
Lack of notch.